Hello and welcome to a special work in progress episode here on Captain's Dry Dock. And in the dry dock today, we're covering the last part that makes up my first order Stormtrooper armour, the helmet.
Traitor!
Let's make it real. First off, let me start in saying that this helmet, lid, bucket, whatever you like to call the thing that goes on your head, this is not part of the Imperial Surplus's kit. The Imperial Surplus's kit only goes from the neck all the way down to the ankle. So when you need to get your headgear, that's got to come from a separate manufacturer. The one I have is from a company called Anavos, which is no longer in business. Well, technically, it was actually recently bought out by another company, and some people argue it's basically the same company but with a different name. And they're the ones who, let's just say, they've not selling this helmet yet, but lately at the time of filming, they have started to sell or take pre-orders for the original First Order Stormtrooper armor kit that Anavos developed and was selling at that time. I just need to interrupt myself about there, because even though I said Anavos developed and sold the kit, in fact they employed the help of a company called Global Effects that made all the prototypes and masters for all the Star Wars products that were sold through them. And in fact you can see loads of really fantastic behind the scene pictures of how they developed and made those kits on the RPF website, so go and check that out. And so if you are looking to get yourself something like this, there may be a chance that this may be sold by the new company. Just keep your eyes open for that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going to go into detail about what potentially you might see if you buy yourself one of these, because I reckon that they are going to make these and put those up for sale. Presenting the First Order Stormtrooper Premier helmet. And why did I say premiere? Well, many years ago, when I managed to get hold of this, there were actually two different versions. I don't mean two different versions from different films, because they always change them slightly, basically just to make more toys and more money out of it. But the actual company made two different versions because they realized that, you know, this was fast becoming such an expensive hobby that people couldn't afford to buy these things, so they made a cheaper version. And the difference being was the material. So the cheaper version, I think, was made out of an injection molded plastic, and on the interior it looked like something of a hard hat. So on the inside there was a ring, and that's about it. Basically very much costumey. Whereas this one, I was lucky enough to get the Premier range. Difference being, I think this was made out of fiberglass, and boy does it feel like I can wear it on a motorbike. And the inside, luxurious. It just feels so nice. It's even smelling it. If you are a biker and you've worn a brand new helmet, that's what it smells of. And you've got these pads as well to make it extra comfortable. So all in all, just even putting this on makes you feel so cool. While we're talking about it, let's talk about all the different versions of it. So not just about the cheap and Premier, but even across the films, the design changes ever so slightly. Now, to you and I, or would I say 99% of the public that went to see the movies, you would not have been able to tell one First Order Stormtrooper from The Force Awakens to the last movie, but there were slight changes. I didn't realise this, but luckily I was going for The Force Awakens Trooper anyway, which this helmet looks and has all the details about. Now, the differences are this, of what I can tell. The clips are slightly different from one movie to the other. The nose part, the nose guard, that's a little bit narrower on the later movies. And there's some grill bars going down here around the mouthpiece. And that's about it. So those are the differences. Now, it shouldn't really matter, especially if you're not really anal about those details. But if you want to be cleared and you want to join the 501st, and you say your troop in armour is actually Force Awakens, but it's mixed up with the other movies, they will see that and point that out, and you will need to rectify that. Or I can imagine that they will anyway. So it's just something to bear in mind with. So little details like that. But that's about the helmet. There are other things about the armour itself, but I won't go into in this video. Do I or don't I? That is the question I've been asking myself since the very first episode of the special work in progress episodes, making this armour. So I bought this a few years ago, and as you know, this would have been made in China, sprayed in China and sent over to Blighty where I bought it, and then I made or painted the rest of my armour, which, yep, I said painted. This isn't exactly going to be the same gloss white that I used on my armour. In fact, this is the paint I used on my armour, and it's not exactly going to be the same. And also, it's a different material. If you don't realise this, but sometimes paint reacts differently for different surfaces, whether it be fiberglass, metal or plastic. So it's never going to be exact. So there was that question. Do I strip it down, take off all the fittings, take out all the lining and sand down that beautiful paint job there? That is really, really good. And then paint it with the same spray paint that I use for the rest of the armour? Or do I just leave it as it is? And I thought to myself, hang on a minute, let's just say that niggling feeling by actually comparing it to other parts of my armour. So what I did, I got the biggest part of the armour. There we go, the chest plate. And I always advise, if you're ever going to compare colours, get a nice big square surface area like this, and also they're both rounded because colour and light looks differently depending on the shape of the object. So if you compare the two under synthetic light, I can't see much of a difference there, and I hope you agree as well. But that doesn't mean that's the true shade or colour. In fact, you need natural light. So I went outside on my balcony, got hold of some black material, put that on the floor so there's a nice contrast, so there was no other colours bouncing off of this. And you know what, I could just see a slight deviation in shade, but was it as much as it was going to niggle at me and stand out like a sore thumb? No. In short, it's like buying the car of your dreams and you're finally able to afford it, you take it home, but then you're like, it's just a slightly different shade than I wanted it, and I'm going to strip it down and paint it myself with rattle cans. No. Don't get me wrong. If this was pink or it's a really loud colour and it really was nowhere near as close as being white, yes, I would do. I would have done that. But this is fine, and I hope you think so too. And if not, well, you're not the one who would actually have to strip all this down and potentially destroy it. So throughout this video, you may be wondering, if this is all about the First Order Trooper, why on earth do I have the original Stormtrooper's helmet on my desk? And as you probably know, if you've seen my previous videos, yeah, I had the full armour of this, I've gone trooping in it, and it's been so much fun. But I wanted to highlight about the comms unit. So when you wear a helmet like this is what you sound like. So I sound very muffled, and as I'm talking, it's just, yeah, no one can hear me. Whereas when you're walking around, you want to be able to be understood and also get into character, because stormtroopers do talk and you can hear them.
We don't need to see his identification.
I'll tighten those restraints.
And these particular troopers, you can actually buy yourself an amplifier with all the accurate clicks and pops like they do in the films. So now, I've got an amplifier with two speakers here, and also you can hear the clicks and the bouses and bells. Now, the company that made that amplifier no longer makes them because there's a parts issue, but I had to say it's quite pricey anyway, no matter where you go to. Now, here's the good news. When it comes to the First Order Troopers, they don't have the clicks and the pops and the buzzes and all those sounds. In fact, all they have is an amplifier, and they are super cheap and you can get them anywhere. This is the one that I got myself. It's a standard amplifier. I think I got on Amazon. It's super cheap and does the job. And I sound like a trooper.
Traitor!
But this brings me on to a warning. Be careful out there. If you go into eBay or Etsy, I have found a lot of vendors out there, or should I say just people working out their garage, who buy these things and just slap a stick on them and just put Stormtrooper amplifier and then charge up to 3 times than what they actually are charged at by the actual manufacturer. And please don't fall for that unless it's got something special to it, such as the whistles, pops or bells, or it does something amazing. Don't. Just buy yourself the amplifier that I have or something equivalent and save yourself money and not being conned. No, I am not a ninja. This is actually generally what the extras and actors wore when they wore this First Order Stormtrooper armour. Here's the behind the scenes pictures, and they wore these black balaclavas. And I reckon there's two reasons for this. Number one, it was comfort, but mainly I think it's because you needed to make sure you couldn't see any skin. Because you can, if you look upwards underneath, you can see sometimes the chin, and it just destroys the whole illusion. And especially when you're cosplaying, you're going around Comic-Con, and kids, you know, they're generally shorter than you, well, shorter than me sometimes, and they will look up, and you don't want them seeing and ruining the whole illusion that there is a person under there. Yes, of course they know there's a person under there, but the whole idea about the armour, it covers every inch of you. It dehumanizes you. It makes you iconic, and that's one of the reasons why I thought to myself, I'll get the balaclava. In fact, there's a third reason as well, which I remembered when I did my cosplaying in my New Hope armour. I did it at a school charity, and I was walking around all day, and it was hot under the sun, and you sweat, especially when you don't have hair. It just goes down your face, it gets in your eyes, whereas this is sweat catcher. Sounds a bit gross, I know, just make sure you wash it afterwards. But this was only a couple of quid, I think, on eBay, $2.99 off of eBay. And guess what? Yep, going back to my public warning, I seen pretty much the same thing being sold on Etsy, and it being marked up, I think, about 10, 20 quid, just because it had Stormtrooper in the title, in just selling it. It wasn't actually on this, it was just Stormtrooper balaclava. What the hell? And that is about it for basically the entire armour. After this, there's one more episode before the first fitting, which is the miscellaneous. So it's all the bits that I've missed out or wanted to go back on and improve on. But after that, that'll be it. You'll see me put on for the first time months and months and months work and effort, and just looking hopefully cool and making sure that this is the right shade as well. But in the meantime, my name's John Child. This is Captain's Dry Dock, and I'm stroking my helmet. You stay safe, take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.